Hi there, Agile friends. Get ready for the World Tour of Agile at the Agile Online Summit 2023. You can join us from October 24th to 26th for a global showcase of cutting-edge Agile practices and insights. Join us at agileonlinesummit.com. This year, we will be featuring some of the best work done around the world and world-class keynotes. You can check all of that at agileonlinesummit.com. But the best part is that your ticket is on us. That's right, it's free to attend and immerse yourself in the world of Agile excellence. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your skills and network with peers and industry experts. Mark your calendars and secure your spot at AOS 23 today by visiting agileonlinesummit.com. So get your free ticket or opt for the full digital pass that lets you keep all the conference videos forever and organize, why not, Agile learning sessions at work. You can get the full digital access at agileonlinesummit.com. I'll see you in the conference floor. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week we have with us Lorraine Chambers. Hey, Lorraine, welcome back.
Hi, Vasco. Happy to be back.
So, Lorraine, on Tuesdays, we talk about the teams, and we will talk about teams in a second, but we also talk about the books that so often become kind of lifelines for us when we are in our learning journey. So share with us, what's the book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Thanks for that question. This is actually a more recent read, and I'm really appreciating it at this stage in my Agile journey. And the book is called Radical Candor by Kim Scott. I really enjoyed this book because as coaches, we have to communicate, we have to engage, and we have to provide constant feedback with the people that we work with. And the best way to do this is to be candid. So it offers a lot of guidance on how to deliver praise, but also deliver criticism when necessary. And throughout the book, she talks about having strong relationships with our team members. And we do this by making our feedback personal, give examples of, if there's a area where, feedback is warranted, have concrete examples and help them to understand why it matters. Like, I'm not just critiquing you for the sake of critiquing you. This is why it matters. This is why it affects the team. And I really enjoy a story that she gives us early in the book where she recalls she had a direct report named Bob, and he was a really nice person. He was doing a great job. But no, he was a nice person, but was not doing a good job. Sorry about that. He was not doing a good job. And he was never really called out on it. And, others had to pick up his slack. And to make a long story short, he was eventually fired, and he was upset and basically said, why didn't anyone tell me? Like, no one was ever candid with him and told him that he was not doing a good job or helped him to improve. So she felt bad as a manager and, failing to be honest with Bob. So, some great lessons in that book. And, she talks about care personally while challenging directly. That's one of the mantras that I've taken from that book. So I highly recommend that book to other Scrum Masters and coaches.
Absolutely. And feedback, the ability to give and receive feedback is so important for us. And it is actually one of the most important tools we have in our toolbox. We work through people, right? Like we are not, at least most of us, we are not the ones actually developing products. We are not the ones designing products. We are not the ones testing products, even if some of us might be doing that as well. We work through the other people that are there in the team. So it's very important to be able to give and receive feedback, and to give feedback in a way that has an impact, right? Not just give it, but give it in a way that is received.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a great book for sure, Radical Candor by Kim Scott, and we'll put the link in the show notes. So Lorraine, now we turn our attention to the teams, the focus of our work, and why it's so important for us to give feedback indeed. So tell us a story of a team. Tell us a little bit about the context so that we may understand, was it a small, big team inside a larger or smaller organization? And then walk us through the steps, how those little small behaviors started small, but over time grew and became a big problem for the team?
Okay. Yes. So this particular team, they were a mid-sized team, about it fluctuated a little bit, but between 4 to 6 developers within a larger organization. The problem is the team was working in silos. So they were on the same Scrum team, but they were kind of working on three different things that weren't necessarily interconnected. So there were like almost three sub teams. So, one or two people had an outcome having to do with some customization work. Someone else was doing some calculation work, and then someone else was doing a server upgrade, and really weren't working together and connecting. And even the sprint goals were kind of, coming out that way. Um, and what was happening, what made it even worse is that this team didn't, they had, they were really struggling to complete what they committed to during the sprint. We were constantly, even though we took into consideration of the capacity and sprint planning and velocity, all those things, there always seemed to be carryover. And from what I was observing, I think it was mainly because they were working in these silos, there was limited ability for like the peer reviews and peer programming and things that kind of help the teams
So
to work
basically, there
together.
was little availability for them to help each other.
Exactly, because everyone working their own niche in a way, and they weren't working as cross-functionally as I thought they could be. So I discussed this with the product owner and the engineering manager multiple times. And, it basically boiled down to, some leadership and mandates that were out of the team's control. And, in other words, for now, this is the way things need to be done, just to get it done for now. And we could kind of revisit in the future, some different sprint goals and outcomes. But I really found it destructive because, like I mentioned, the team was not becoming cross-functional. They were not becoming T-shaped, and even team relationships were strained because, again, people working in silos, they're not really working together. And even when it came to self-organizing and self-managing themselves, it was pretty limited because it was kind of known like, okay, developer A is going to work on this, developer B is going to work on this. So they weren't even able to self-organize, as effectively as we would like to see on Scrum teams. But this team, there's still an active team, and there are some changes in the pipeline that look promising. That is going to help the team become T-shaped. The New Year roadmap and so forth kind of have some initiatives and outcomes on there that most of the team members will be able to work on. So it's still a work in progress. We're working on it.
One of the things in this story that is rather interesting for me is this aspect that this is still a team. Like they're working on three separate things. Maybe some of them are working on more than one of those three separate things, but they are still a team. And one starts to think about what is the meaning of a team in this organization? Is it just a group of people that are kind of like, and a bad word in this case, resource pool, right? Like, are these just people with a few hours we can use for multiple projects? This is very common in a project-oriented organization, for example. Or is this really a team that is given challenges that they can then, raise to the level of overcoming those challenges, whether it is to deliver something to production or to solve a technical problem or help some other team, right? So what do you think about that? What do you think is the overarching and maybe dominant model for team in that organization?
Yes. So the overarching, idea of a team in this organization is exactly what you said, the latter part, common sprint goals, being able to work together. That's what I've seen in most of the teams that I've been working with over the years. This one seems to be an exception, but I'm hoping, and I've been told that it's a temporary exception. And the plan is to, once some of these initiatives and outcomes are completed, to kind of restructure, refactor, whatever we want to call it, and get the team to a place where, you know, they're working on something together, and, you know, the work could stay within the team, and everyone on the team has the ability to contribute to that overarching goal for the product.
Because as the team stands in that story, it's quite easy to imagine that the sprint plannings and retrospectives are a little bit difficult, right? Because we're like in sprint planning, for example, maybe team member A and B are working on like two different initiatives than team members C and D, who themselves are working on two different initiatives. And the planning doesn't make sense anymore for these 4 or 5 or 6 people, right? Because, you know, why should I care what you're working on? Because I'm not contributing to that, right? How does it go? Like in the sprint planning, how can the team coalesce and kind of, you know, try to be there for each other?
Yeah, you know, that's a really good question. It does seem that way, but I will say that even though some of the people are working on some different things, there are some senior team members that may have worked on some of the other work before. So even though they're not working on it right now, they are able to give some of those more junior members some guidance. So I do notice that, like, there is some communication and collaboration in that sense. So, you know, something to the effect of, oh, you know, when I used to work in this code, you know, this is a way to do it, or this is someone that you could reach out to help you, you know, get that, and so forth. So, you know, they may not be working together per se, but some of the more senior members are able to guide some of those more junior members in some of that work. So again,
that's
it's a work in
actually
progress.
something that's actually something that is worthwhile amplifying, right? Like, you know, who can help? What other ideas do we have to solve this problem, right? Like, really trying to generate more communication between the team members is something that can help the team stay together. Even though they are not working on the same thing, they can still feel like, okay, I belong to this team, right? Because one of the risks that I see in teams that are working in silos, like this one that you just mentioned, is that they start losing the sense of belonging and collective future, right? And when team members lose that, then they have very little motivation to invest back into the team.
Yeah, that is so true. That's some great advice. I like that, you know, kind of amplifying that communication piece of it, and almost like a mentoring part of it, until some of the, you know, things, some of the more, you know, leadership decisions could kind of help, you know, making this a more like cohesive cross-functional team. I really like that.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that story, Lorraine.
Thank you, Vasco.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.